see Ilse is also online. Hello, Ilse. Haven't spoken to you for ages. Just reading about you on LinkedIn.
Hi, Ilse. Hi. Shoo. How do you pronounce the name? Yusri. That's a lovely name.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Good.
Good, thanks. Good. How do you pronounce your name? What a beautiful name. So we're just going to give it 2 more minutes and then we can start.
So maybe we can find out where our viewers are from.
Yes, that would be great. Who would like to go first?
Christine's always a good person to break the ice.
Christine, the floor is yours.
Sorry, I am trying to find all my settings. they all disappeared. Apologies. Hi, everyone. I'm Christine, and I'm from Pretoria, South Africa. Sunny South Africa, sitting in my lovely garden because it's warmer outside than in my house.
Yes, that's the current reality right now everywhere. Welcome, Christine. Pamela, you can maybe go next. I see you from Johannesburg.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Pam. I'm a new member of the IBC and the Africa chapter. But in a previous role, I did enter a number of Silver Quill Awards when I was with RNA Strategic Communications and recently founded a new business. So just getting refreshed.
Welcome. That is wonderful. Anyone else who would like to go next?
Hi, I'm Ilse. I'm in Gauteng, South Africa. Nice to see you all.
Welcome, Ilse. Lovely to see you too.
So I think Liana's going to be too modest to introduce herself, but she's actually an HR person who I have convinced to enter the change communication program. So welcome, Liana.
Hi, Liana. Welcome.
Hi, and thank you.
And she's beautiful too.
So I think we can start. Is there anyone else that would like to introduce themselves? Samuel, maybe? Okay, so I'll go in. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, How to Enter a Silver Quill in 2 Easy Steps. I am Sheila Hans, and I'm your host for today. And I also serve as the Silver Quill Coordinator on the IBC Africa Board. I currently reside in sunny Pretoria as well, where it is warmer outside than it is inside, as Christine said. So a warm welcome to everyone today. We're super excited about this session. We have a short, very short, but practical session lined up today. And I think we felt that it was imperative to unpack this topic to help everyone better understand the entry process. And I think to just feel confident in approaching your Silver Quill submission. So for today specifically, we'll be focusing on divisions 1, 2, and 3, which follow a very similar process and structure. And we'll be taking you through the key resources, including cheat sheets, some work sample templates, and a work plan. We'll also provide you with all the relevant links and resources so that you can access these after your session as you prepare for your entry. Given the limited time, as I've said, we have decided to cover Division 4 in a separate session. Please feel free to pop any questions in the chat box as we go along, and we'll address them as many as possible during the session. So with that, I'm delighted to hand over to Elsabe, who will take us through the 2 easy steps. Elsabe, over to you.
Thank you, Tashila. Good afternoon. I'm Elsabe Kutsia. I am an old communicator in years and in I'm old. I'm going between 60 and 70. So let's get that out of the way. But I've been in communication for over 30 years, and I've probably written 40 something quills in my life, won a few of my own. But for me, in the beginning, it was very hard for me to enter quills because there was nobody who guided us. We didn't, as a quill entrant, you had resources online, but nobody explained them to us. So what the IABC did this year is we created a cheat sheet for divisions 1, 2, and 3, and also for division 4. Today we're going to run through the cheat sheet for division 1, 2, and 3. But what I've done is I've actually written it in a way that you're going to have your best chance to score 7 out of 7. Because what breaks my speed is if an evaluator marks my quill down because on a technical issue, I haven't added something to the quill. And that is so easy to happen because your resources online, we call it the Midas Touch, but the how-to guideline is already 40 pages long. So if you add every single little thing that has to be in your quill into the how-to guide, it's going to be 130 pages long. So I've distilled it for you. So we're going to look at 2 things. We're going to look at a 6-page cheat sheet that makes up 100% your entry form. So your entry form is called a work plan. So you submit your work plan. And if you're clever, you're only going to submit a work plan. You're not going to have to submit all those big work sample portfolio of evidence files, because I'm going to show you how to put your links in your work plan. So you just submit one thing. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to share the cheat sheet with you for each of the 6 questions in the entry form or the work plan. Then I'm going to take you to the work plan itself, and I'm going to show you how I inserted all those cheats into the work plan and then wrote a hypothetical entry for you according to that. Then I'm going to share the work sample or the portfolio of evidence cheat sheet with you, but I'm going to show you real life work samples. So let me share, starting off, let me share the how to enter work. Oh gosh. Okay. Can you see my screen or not yet?
No, not yet.
No problem.
Not yet.
Thank you for that. This is such a silver quill cheat sheet. It's such an issue to share. Okay, let's see if it's going to pick it up. Okay, can you all see my screen?
We can see your file folder, but not the cheat sheet yet.
Okay, so I'm going to just unshare and then just do this process again. Apologies, guys. We tested it earlier and it worked fine. Window. No, it's for some or other reason. It's my apologies. Give me one moment. Okay, you should be able to see it now.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm sharing this with you in Microsoft Word format so that you can see the entire cheat sheet. The PowerPoint is going to be, PowerPoint will be too long. Okay, So let us start with oh gosh, I apologize. It's just not picking up the file. One moment, let's try again. For example.
So can I quickly do a ad break whilst Elsie is busy? If you enter your quills, then it would be a really great idea if you also register to attend our IABC Africa conference in Cape Town from 21 to 23 October, as our quill winners will get their awards and they will be announced on our gala evening at the Cape Town Aquarium, at the Two Oceans Aquarium. So hopefully that is an additional incentive for you to enter your quill.
Can you
We can
also
see your file system. No, file system, not
yes,
the worksheet.
for reasons beyond my comprehension, this is just simply not sharing. Okay, I so apologize for this. We actually tested everything in advance and we had no problems.
Elsie, maybe just talk us through it.
Okay.
Pamela, I'm going to answer you in the meantime. The work could have been completed at the end of 2025 as well. So it needn't be 2026 work.
Okay, cool. So within the whole of 2025 or the end as in after October?
You have a 2-year period to enter a project. Yeah, so in theory, everything from September 2024. Yeah, 24.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Elsie, you had it up now and then you closed it, so it was.
No, that was the work plan. It's simply not picking up.
Could you possibly pop the link in the chat box and then we can open it on our sides individually?
Yes, I can do so. Oh, let me just, gosh, this.
Don't worry, it's Murphy.
Yeah.
It happens.
Can I maybe ask who here wants to enter a quill for the first time? If you can maybe just give a thumbs up or just so that we can have an indication. Okay, Lucy is great. And Ilse. Okay. Super. Whilst you're doing that, can I maybe share some of the work samples that you asked me to share, and then you can get the technical side up and going?
Certainly, apologies about that.
Okay. Natalie, so I want you to say, I think it's a setting problem because I can't share either.
It has got multiple arrived. There you go. Yours is starting to share.
Super. So Elsie asked me if I can share this. And now for the life of me, I don't know where to put it onto full screen because it doesn't give, wait. Ah, there we go. Great. So Teresa Lee and I entered the LCS training center under the change management division. years ago. And basically what it boiled down to is they initially asked us to please assist them with a change management program. And then once we started doing research, we found that the bigger problem was that the employees had no idea who they were working for or what the reason for the work was that they were doing. So Teresa and I created a 12-week training program and an education program, which we then submitted, and we were fortunate enough 2 years ago to win the Best of the Best in Africa award for this. So work samples is one of the things that people also do not really score high on if it's not done well. So this is just an example. I prefer PowerPoints, but I know that there are amazing work out there where people submit videos and they submit graphic designs and everything. So I've just combined a PowerPoint to say these are some of the training materials that we used. So that was our facilitation session that we had with the leadership team as they worked with us with each session to actually be our co-presenters, so that the training session had more gravitas. So those were then just examples of the workbook and what we had in there. So it's not necessary to show every single page of your workbook. You can choose to show an example, but make sure that it is eligible so that at least the evaluators can read some of the text and to see what the communication is like. Then what also works very well is to show photos of the participants or the employees or the physical event or whatever you are going to decide to submit, as it just humanizes it. So that's why we put in these photos to show who the leadership team were and who we actually worked with. We had, as I said, 12 different sessions. So for us, it was important to show that even the CEO and the MD actually participated in all of that. And then Teresa and I and Elsabe believe strongly in gamifying what we do, because for adult learning, that's just so much easier. So these are just examples of where we had role play, where the CEO actually spoke to them. We had a map of South Africa, as you can see here in the forefront. We had little Lego men that each represented somewhere where they were. This is some of the material that we designed and that we handed out. How well do you know your routes? Once again, is a game that we played where they had to find the shortest route from one destination to another. Teresa had this lovely game where, so they transport raw materials, and but once again, the employees didn't know what these raw materials were actually used for. So we put down different objects, and then they had to guess or hopefully know which of these raw materials were used where. We had a Jenga game that also always works very well. We had a visual map that we designed so that they could understand what the process was of what the operation does and where they fit into this. So that's the one. Elsabe, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Okay, I'm going to share the cheat sheet. Guys, I rebooted on my side. You should be able to see it now.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Yes, we can.
I'm just quickly going to scan through this document because what I want to get to is the actual work plan that shows you everything. So when you enter a Quill, your entry form has 6 sections that you have to complete. The first one is the business need or the business opportunity. The second one is the stakeholder analysis, goals and objectives, how you solved your problem, the solution, implementation and challenges, and measurement and evaluation. And then I've got a work sample cheat sheet. So I want to familiarize you with the document. Your work plan is the first step. If you look at the cheat sheet, every single one of the 6 questions you are asked to complete in the entry form has got a page like this one. I'm I'm going to go through the business need one with you. So if you want to score a 7, or as close to a 7 as possible, obviously a 7 would require that you show a higher level of innovation beyond just the normal what we do. So you might think that I've ticked all these boxes, everything is here, but then that last little point, the very difficult one that makes your work unique, is a 7. So I've brought you as close to a 7 as possible. And on every single one of these cheat pages, I've brought you as close as possible to a 7. But you have to understand that by ticking these boxes doesn't mean you're going to get a 7. So for the business need and the business opportunity, the purpose here is for your entry in this section to help the evaluator understand what happened in this project of yours. Why did it matter to your company? What evidence are you going to show in your portfolio that's going to prove that you really did it? And that's where people who try and cheat by using AI, not really doing the project, that's where they get burnt, because you have to show the evidence, and it's so easy to see if somebody faked it. But the whole thing is, you've got to show the evidence that proves why you responded with a communication specialist solution. So what to include in this part of your entry, there are 8 topics that you have to discuss: the organization and the context, what the business need was, and I've given you explanations here of that defines exactly. If we say give the organization context, the evaluator needs to see what the company does. Are they a forestry company? Are they a bank? Are they in education? And what is the relevant environment in which your communication had to happen? So often people forget to give that context. Only give enough context for the evaluator to understand your project. You've only got 4 pages, and you've got a minimum font size, you've got minimum margin sizes. So if you stick to this list of 8 items, you've ticked the boxes. You're going to see that you will start your quill off by writing so much information, and then you haven't got space for anything else. But always write your business plan, even if it's 10 pages long, and then you start culling. Okay, so the next webinar we're going to do is on how to use AI to help you develop your quill entry, not how to fake your project, but how to develop your quill entry. And I saw that if you put all your assets together and you know how to use AI, you can do it in 3 to 4 hours. Okay, so now you're going to write a little story about all of these 8 points that you must include. Then I've given you what you have to do to try and score 7 out of 7. Now, to score a 5 out of 7 might sound impressive to you, but you don't get a quill if you score 5 out of 7. You don't earn a quill. It's not winning a quill, it's earning a quill. You don't earn a quill for doing solid work. You earn a quill for showing exceptionality, for showing that you are strategic and that you understand the business objectives and that you know how to link communication to it. So I've given you a little bit of advice to see if you could pull your score to a 7. And then I've also given you at the bottom what you must watch out for. And we're going to share this document. Natalie's going to share it with you. So then we go on to the next question in your entry. It's your stakeholder analysis. There are different ways to demonstrate audience analysis or stakeholder analysis. There's specific information that belongs in that section, particularly when you get to question number 5 that asks you to explain what was your solution to this problem. What did you do? Did you have a roadshow? Did you come up with a new training program? What was your solution? That is where your stakeholder analysis becomes critically important, because everything you do has to be audience centric. Okay, so I've given you a list here of everything that has to be in this section of your quill. I've again given you how to aim for a 7 score, and then I've given you watch out. So then the next question is setting goals and objectives. We are going to be having a webinar on that because a lot of people struggle. There's a very simple formula for writing SMART objectives, output and outcome. I want to urge you not to panic about that. In our Quill Awards this year, as last year's, we've got a whole coaching team. So if you want to enter your Quill and you get stuck, call us. We will guide you. We'll help you. We'll review your Quill. We'll look at it in advance and tell you where you fall short, but we won't write it for you. Okay, so you've got the goals and objectives section. Again, watch out for. Then we get to the solution overview. What was your actual solution? The 7 steps that you must address in the solution to score for a Quill. Again, aim for 7, watch out for, and what your acid test is for the evaluator. Then we've got implementation and challenges section. What must you cover? If we say you've got to cover your budget, you don't have to say this project cost me 500,000 Rand. But it does help if it's a big project for the evaluator to understand if you spent your budget wisely. A lot of people enter videos and then the video costs them something like 1.3 million Rand, but it's just shown to 150 internal people. It helps the evaluator to know how big your budget was. If you don't want to disclose the full amount, there are other very creative ways to explain your budget. For example, what percentage of your budget in your video did you pay for storyboarding? What percentage did you pay to the film crew? What did you pay for the voiceover? Or what percentage? All those, the human resource cost, all of those can give a good indication and you won't be marked down. But the more transparent you are and you can disclose makes it easier for your evaluator. Then again, your watch out, then measurement and evaluation. So a lot of people don't write proper SMART objectives in section number, I think it's section number 3. They don't write, my goal is to help increase employee engagement through the blah, blah, blah campaign so that our production output can increase, so that the company can achieve its production output growth for 2028. So it's very important that you understand when you do your measurement and evaluation, you always measure and evaluate back to what your objective was. So what we usually do is in section number 3, where you put your goals and objectives, we always add an extra column that says, okay, so this was my objective, this is how I measured it, and this is my end result after I measured it, what I achieved. Then you don't have to repeat that last piece because the evaluator jumps between, but what was the goal again? And if you run out of space and you don't link those two together, then you've got to add your goals here again. So, and then you run out of space. Okay, so goals and objectives, measurement and evaluation. So if you list your measured outcomes of what your objectives were, what you actually achieved, exceeded by 500%, if you already put that in section 3 where you put your goals, then you can fully dedicate this section to the evaluation of your project. So this first part that I'm highlighting, report against every objective, that you can put as an extra column if you want in section 3. And then, I also always add to section 3, how am I going to measure, right? And then you can do proper evaluation. So you'll see this best practice also covers stuff like what did we not get right? What did we miss? What objectives didn't we achieve? Why didn't we achieve them? It doesn't matter if you had 5 objectives and number 4 you didn't quite make it, you fell short, but then tell us in this evaluation section why. And how do you close the loop? What did you learn from your whole review and evaluation? Okay, right, I'm going to stop sharing this now, and I quickly want to show you the can you still see my screen? Can you see the actual award entry form on screen now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Also,
Okay,
can
so
you maybe just take the cross on the left-hand side so that it shows
yeah,
bigger and
I
slightly more for us that are becoming blind.
Okay, can you all see the
Fantastic,
screen?
thanks.
Okay, I'd like to urge you to please use the IABC official entry form. It's a matter of discipline. Also, because when we start evaluating, the evaluators often, if you don't use this entry form, they don't know what category or what division you entered. So it's important to use the entry form. And then also, on the entry form, you are asked to give us a project description. That's such a lacquer cheat. Lacquer, pardon my English. That's such a lovely cheat that that predisposes the evaluator to understand what they're looking at when they start evaluating. All the red copy is the cheat sheet. So you will see that what I've done is I have taken the cheat sheet and I dumped everything in the business need, all 8 those topics that I listed in the cheat sheet. I listed them here. When I do my quills, I often leave these numbered cheats in because evaluators have on average 30 to 45 minutes to evaluate your work plan. And now a lot of people don't write chronologically, or they don't write clearly. Then you've got to start hunting, is the organization and its context properly described? Then you start looking through things and you can't find it. So this is a lovely way and a very effective way to lead your evaluator through your entry, because they sit with a score sheet. So what I did is I physically took the score sheet and I made sure that every item that they've got to score you on is highlighted here. So it makes it so easy for the evaluator, and that's what we want. We want the evaluator to not to have to search for things. But I also want to warn you, your extra point number 7 in for this question can be earned by writing more creatively, writing a little bit more flowery, a little bit more dramatic, to really tell a good story. And I personally feel that this way is not as creative and as entertaining as if you didn't have point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So what I've done is I've created a fictional quill. This is not a real organization, but the entire quill is written on this case study. And it gives you all the information as an evaluator that you want. Who is this organization and what is the context? Horizon Retail Group is a 30-branch retail service network servicing regional business and community customers, blah, 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 blah. So you can see we've covered everything that we've covered in the cheat sheet. What I've added here is when people talk about the research and the evidence, they usually skimp. This way of writing, by having these points up front, you can always go and delete my bullet points in red and replace it with more appropriate wording for yourself. But this is more comprehensive, and it's been written to give you a 7, simply for the fact that it gives you content that a normal way of entering a quill is not going to give you. Right, let's quickly have a look at the audience analysis. So I often have, under audience analysis, start with an explanation of the model that I used. But because space is always an issue, I was looking for a different way to show that there was a particular model. And you'll see that I interpreted a model without having to explain the model. I don't know how safe that is going to be for you to.
Elsevier, you're gone. Elsevier.
I think you're back, Elsabe.
I'm so sorry. We have power dips in Nelspruit. Okay, so what you'll see is there is a shape of a model coming through, because in the audience analysis, I identified what has to be bridged and reinforced, who has to deliver what, who has to validate the outcome of what we're doing, the people to who it matters, who has to enable and sustain. And then I'm sorry, there's no heading in here, but then I looked at the different segments that are important to the evaluator. For example, how are we going to validate the customers and the impact that we're having on them? We're going to do a customer pulse. We're going to do a service quality, reliability, assurance. We're going to look at the fact that trust fell when branch answers differed or feedback vanished. Those are the issues that these people had with the old way of running client service. So what do they expect? They expect dependable, respectful service and proof issues lead somewhere. So that's the outcome that we need to chase for our customers. And how are we going to communicate with them? What are our communication tools and channels going to be? So the clients in this instance, their communication preferences is simple feedback points, consistent messages, and visible closed loop responses. So what we've done is we've identified the pain point for each audience. We've identified what good looks like to them. And then we've identified what type of communication approach we need to follow for each one of them. My apologies, I'll add the headings here. Then I gave a little bit of information on the research base. Always mention your research base when you give feedback on audience analysis, in the audience analysis. Then in terms of the goals and objectives, there's a business goal. Always try and explain the business goal as well as the communication goal, because the business goal gives context to the communication goal. And remember, your goals don't have to be measurable. It's a broad statement of what you're trying to achieve. Then what I added here that we don't always see, but it is a higher scoring addition, is what logic did you follow when you set your objectives? So the logic that we followed was that our research showed that usually roles are unclear in this client service environment. And because roles are unclear, there's also weak understanding of who's responsible for what. And because people don't understand who's responsible for what, there's inconsistent adoption and the service varies. And there's a client retention and a revenue risk for this company. So targets used baseline and branch performance range. That's how we set the targets. I often, when I have to set smart objectives, then I rack my brain and I try and think, oh my gosh, how on earth, what is a good target? Because you just don't know. So force yourself to go back to the logic, back to the business need, what the business problem is and where they're trying to get to. That's going to help you establish smart objectives. Tashila, by the way, this is also something that we've got to raise with our evaluators this year. I do believe that as Africa, we can do better, and this is something that we need to do. Okay, so you'll see that we've got output objectives, we've got communication outcome objectives, we've got the business outcome. it's important for you, if you want to score higher, to mention the business outcome as well, because otherwise, how are you going to know you made a difference? It doesn't just help that you increased awareness and understanding from 10% of people who was aware and understood in the beginning of the project to 60%. It doesn't matter unless you can prove that they actually did something with the newly gained knowledge. Okay, so the very right-hand column you'll see is a black column. I clearly marked it. That is the final measured result that refers to question 6 on page 4. So here I wrote what our results were. Now the evaluator, when he gets to question 6 on page 4, he'll remember, oh, okay, but I've actually seen what the results were. This measurement speaks about the variance points that you wanted to reduce, because it's actually based on a client service project that I did for one of my clients. Then the solution overview, again, the cheat sheet tells you everything that has to be in here. You've got to start with the strategy and the rationale, try and find a really creative solution. For this client, we did a service relay, which is a communication operating system built on the service influence chain. That was something that we actually did for the client. But I just tried to take their logos and the real measurements out as to not expose them. Okay, so this shows you how everything is written back. And look how short the solution overview is. It doesn't have to be long. This solution overview tells the evaluator everything he needs to know. Here is the message architecture. It's so critical to make sure that your messages are visible in the portfolio of evidence. Right. We've covered here what was our strategy, what was the rationale for having this solution, why this solution, how is it aligned back to the problem and to what the client wants, what were our messages, what was our approach with the design of the project and also the graphic design, and then innovation and potential. We actually showed how we moved to the solution, the reinforcement system that addressed 5 needs at once, the consistency, the capability of the people rendering the service, the accountability, the trust in the scalable governance. And then we also included a very short audience-specific rollout plan. It's really important to show your rollout plan. The evaluators actually look for that. A lot of people don't show it. In the entry form, they want to see in the scoring sheet, they want to see the audience. They want to see what was the key message for the audience. What did you do for the audience and why it's a good fit? And then the timing, what happened when. Christine, in the last call she entered for us was the global best of the best this year. Christine, if I recall correctly, you actually had a picture of a timeline and not a table.
Yes,
so
I actually created an image just to explain the journey better.
Yes, and I thought that was brilliant. I really thought that was fantastic. If you do want to do an image, just make sure your font size is not smaller than a 10. Okay, then implementation and challenges. Again, the red is the cheat sheet. In your implementation and challenges, everything that was in the cheat sheet has been carried over here. Always show the response and the effect, because the evaluator wants to know that you understand the hurdles that come along your way and how you dealt with the hurdles. And then measurement and evaluation, you'll see the red again is the cheat sheet notes, which you can remove. Again, see section 3, objectives, result table, column 3. That just, you can put a hyperlink in here. I didn't do it, but I would actually recommend you hyperlink this back to page 2. And here we measure, we talk about the measurement. So don't just tell the evaluator, oh, I exceeded all my objectives. Talk to them, analyze, and analyze to what degree you achieved them, and tell them again. Tell them your story. Evaluation and the business meaning. So you can see, usually with evaluation, we find that a lot of quills fall short because people don't really know how to evaluate. If that's something that you'd like to learn a bit more on, I think attend the next webinar that's going to show you on ChatGPT, because I found it fascinating. The things that after 33, 34 years I've been struggling and still sometimes second guess myself, just fell into place when I used agents, because they have such a beautiful way of explaining it to you. Right. Then in your evaluation, always talk about the lessons you've learned and what is next. A lot of people just ignore that as if the project was perfect. Yes, you might score 5 for well done, this is solid work, but it might not be great work. And it's so easy to just get great. Closing the loop. How did you close the loop on this project back in your company? What was your post-mortem? What was decided in that? Was this just a once-off and it gets buried and there's no phase 2, or you're not building on it? Closing the loop is not only in evaluating, but it's also in the business. How did you close the loop of this phase or this stage or this project to move on to the next? And because I had space left, try to never leave space unused. Because I had space left, I added quotes, made up quotes from some of the audience, the stakeholders. So yeah, that is the whole work plan with all the cheats worked in. So my recommendation to you is, at the end of your work plan, try and even if it's on page 5 will not be counted as part of the work plan. Add a table and put your work samples in here. Upload your work sample to a place like Dropbox. Give access to anyone who's got the link to be able to read it, and link it here. So it's now easy for the evaluator to not to have to go and fiddle in. An evaluator gets sometimes 13 quills to evaluate if we evaluate for MACE. And then you've got to really go find your stuff, and it's a pain. So you can make it easier. I'm just going to click on one of these links to show you. Where shall I click? Let's just click on this work sample and see if it takes us there. Okay, so I'm not sure if you will be able to see the work sample based on me now clicking out of the screen where I was. Can you see my screen? Hello?
No, Elsie, I think we're still under access work samples here. Screen.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and I'll just reshare if it wants to reshare. Gosh, this system is fickle. No, it's not going to share that work sample. But what we'll do is we will email you the work samples. I think what I need to do is perhaps I need to show you the work sample cheat sheet. It's just 3 pages for those who do have time. Okay, it's on my screen. I'm sharing my screen in a moment.
Okay, so we can see your files now.
Yeah, it's for reasons beyond my comprehension. It's very fickle. I can see my Natalie. I've emailed you. Do you want to put the work sample on the screen quickly?
Sure, just give me a second.
I'm really sorry. It's definitely something to do with the Zoom interface with Microsoft. And I don't know if the power dips that we've been having has an impact. I cannot say. So the work sample cheat sheet, if you look at the Midas Touch, and Natalie will send you all of those assets. The Midas Touch is a brilliant document, but it is very cumbersome. So it has quite a few chapters on how to put together a work sample. I would still go and read through it, although if you pressed for time, you can literally follow the cheat sheet, because the cheat sheet, it's basically just one page that tells you what to do and then 2 supporting pages to tell you how to do it.
Sorry, Elsabe, do you want the
The work sample cheat sheet.
okay.
So, Elsabe, I think maybe just a good question would be, I'm not sure if this is possible. Today is obviously deadline for early bird. Is there any possibility we could extend that for the attendees today? Obviously, everybody's that's attended today was uncertain about how to submit. So is that something that...
Yeah, I think we need to do that. Maybe give them till next Friday.
Okay, great. So Leona, at least it can be extended until next week, Friday, so that it gives all of you time to work through the cheat sheets and get your silver quill ready.
Sorry, the last thing I have is section 6. I don't have the work sample cheat sheets. Elsabe?
Natalie?
Yes.
Hi, sorry. Maybe we must just say that, as Elsabe said, that you will send it to everybody. So to Sheila, maybe just ask if there are any other questions that we can answer in the meantime.
Sure. I just wanted to say, I think we can share the necessary documents, the links. Like Elsabe said, we are here and available to assist. So if there are any questions, please do reach out. Is there anybody else that has any questions currently that we can assist with? Don't see any hands up. I'm sure once you're busy putting together your full entry that you will most likely come across questions. Please do feel free to reach out to us at the IBC Africa, myself, Elsabe. We're more than happy to assist you. I'm just double checking that there are no questions, Everybody seems to be happy. Okay, and yes.
Sorry, to Sheila, do you have the date for the Division 4 one, which is the publications and videos, and do you know more? Do you know when that webinar is going to be?
So I think we should schedule that for over the next 2 weeks. Next week, Elsabe wants to do the webinar recording using AI. So most likely that will happen then the week thereafter, which will then be the week of the 31st.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will obviously send out communication to confirm the date. And then, are there any other questions? No questions? Let me double check. Okay, no questions. So I think I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for attending. I think thank you to Elsabe also for sharing the valuable insights. I think once you actually have the document in front of you and once you're working through your content, like I said, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. I already have questions running through my mind as well. And we just hope that today's session has given you a better understanding of the process. We do apologize for obviously the dips in electricity. And thank you again for joining us today. We wish you all the very best with your Silver Quill entries. We look forward to seeing your work and celebrating your achievements. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Please remember to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.